So I'm going to go over a basic leavened flatbread using just baking powder, flour, water, salt, and a little bit of olive oil. And you can mix this up however you want. But I want to show you guys just how easy flatbread is to make. First, we're going to add baking powder. And this is our leavening agent, so this is going to make it puff up a little bit. Get those nice bubbles on the flatbread. Make it a little more airy. You can make it without this. It'll be a little chewier, but it'll still be tasty. And we're going to add about a pinch of salt. I just eyeball it. I like mine pretty salty, so. And then all that's left to do is add in our water and start mixing. So I have a full cup of water here. A lot of times I'll use less than that for this recipe. And to be honest, I usually just eyeball it when I'm making flatbread anyway. And we just want to mix that up. Really get in there. Make sure you get flour all over your kitchen and yourself. It makes the flatbread taste better. It makes your wife super happy when you do that. And so we're just going to give this a mix until it starts to combine. And this needs a little bit more water. So you can see at this point it's starting to kind of want to come together. Still a very shaggy dough. And a lot like my drop biscuits, you can never really tell an exact amount of flour to water that you're going to need. You kind of just have to feel it out with clean hands, of course. Definitely need more water here. I may end up going a little bit over a cup. Might have to adjust my recipe. So here's the great thing about flatbread. I'm going to start working it with my hands at this point. And I'm going to get a little bit more water. So once it starts to come together like this, you want to start just getting in there with your hands. Mix it around real good. Now we are going to need this flatbread. You don't have to do it for a super long time, and I'll show you what kind of consistency we're looking for. I actually think we're getting close to where we need to be on this. So when you're kneading the flatbread, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to get in there, push it down a little bit. Probably going to drop it out on the counter and do it a little bit there. And you can see it's still sticky. So I may have actually overshot the water a little bit. So what we're going to start doing now that we have a rough dough ball is I'm going to flour the counter a little bit. And we're going to turn this dough out on the counter. Oh, no we're not. I forgot one of the most important ingredients. Some olive oil. I don't know how much that was. Just a little bit. You don't need much. And you can use any kind of oil that you want. You could use melted butter if you wanted, or even solid butter probably. You just want to get some fat, a little bit of fat incorporated in there. What we're doing is an extremely basic flatbread. Okay, so that's got the dough mixed in pretty well. So what we're going to do is add some flour to our workspace. You want to make sure this is clean beforehand. One thing a lot of people forget that I like to remind people of is if you use like a detergent of any kind, which you should be, or especially a bleach of some sort when you're cleaning your counters, if it's something you're going to be putting food directly on, it's really best to go ahead and rinse it off with just a damp towel after you're done cleaning. Make sure that that's in frame. There we go. Because you don't want to be eating detergent, or bleach especially. And so we're just going to start kneading this, incorporating a little bit more of that flour that's on the counter to keep it from sticking. And all I'm doing when I'm kneading this is basically squishing it. Stretching and squishing is the name of the game when you're doing this. And what that's doing is incorporating, it's strengthening the gluten bonds in there, and it's what makes it get airy. It makes it stand up to the airiness when the gases are released when it's being cooked. Then you have your proteins all melded together, and they create a barrier on the outside of the dough that keeps that air from escaping, hence getting the bubbles and making it light, airy, fluffy, and not too dense. Yeah, I'm gonna give that a little bit longer. All right, so let's see. Form it into a little ball. I'm gonna pinch those corners a little bit. Make sure the air stays in there. And we're gonna look at it again. Oh, there we go. See it bounce right back? That's how we know she's ready. So the next step here, make sure you've got enough flour on here. You don't want to do too much. It's okay if you do, but and we need to just separate this dough out. So I'm going to kind of stretch it and flatten it out into manageable pieces. I don't know, this should make a few flatbreads. So a bench scraper will be the preferred method. I have this really dull knife that basically is a bench scraper. So we're going to cut it into portions. Let's cut it in half. See, works just fine, didn't cut the counter. We'll do 4 flatbreads out of this. And usually my method with this is it only takes a couple of minutes to cook flatbread once you get it on the skillet. So I'll usually end up making the next flatbread while I cook the first one. So I just take this, make it into a nice little ball, and you can use a roller for this. I just do it with my hands. I find that it preserves the gluten structure better, and you end up getting tastier, airier flatbread. So all we're doing is however you want to stretch it out. This is kind of the window pane test like you would do for pizza. You can start to see the light through it, but the dough is holding its structure. That's a good sign. So we're going to move over to the stove and cook our flatbread. We're just going to take it. I'm using a cast iron. You can use whatever you want. I've got it on medium to medium high heat. This stove runs really hot. And we want to watch this. Usually my first one is the tester. And I see how it goes. And then I adjust the heat from there. In fact, I think we need it just a bit hotter. And we're watching this until it starts to puff up a little bit and get some browning on the other side. And let's flip it. You can see we got some nice browning there. Bubbled up a little bit. I smush it down because I like the way it feels. I think that helps a little bit with the browning too. You just don't want to pop the air bubbles. That's the point of the test run. It's still going to be tasty. That's probably not safe. All right, so this one's taking a little bit longer than I would like, but You can see it's got some nice bubbles. I'm gonna do a couple more. We'll make a nice stack of them. Cover that in a towel and set it aside. And now that the stove's gotten a little hotter, we're gonna add our next one. Now the reason you cover it in a towel is it is what gives it that characteristic kind of pita bread, pliable, flatbread style softness. When they come off the skillet, they're going to be a little bit more of a toasted texture, a little bit more stiff. But as they sit under this towel, they'll steam themselves from the residual heat. And as you stack them up, they steam even more and more. So they get pliable and great to use for wraps. They just get that classic flatbread texture. So it's very important to stack them up and let them rest under a towel. We can see this one's bubbling up much more quickly than the last one since I turned up the heat. All right, let's flip it. Oh yeah. All right, probably shouldn't grab that with my hand. Let's see how it looks. There we go. That looks very nice. So we're just gonna keep stacking them up, and I'm gonna make the rest, and we'll check in a few minutes. All right, and now we have our finished, delicious, pillowy stack of flatbreads. So let's break one open and see. Oh yeah, these got a great crumb. You can see some caverns in the middle there where it puffed up real nicely. Let's taste it and see. It's very good. It's a neutral flavor because all we added was salt and some olive oil. This will go with anything. I'm about to have it with some leftover chana masala. Little curry. Great for that. Great for making flatbread wraps. Great as a snack on its own. Look at that. It is tasty. So I encourage you to give it a try. It's not hard. If I can do it, you can definitely do it. And let me know in the comments how it comes out. And if you want more recipes like this, I'll be uploading multiple times per week, at least 3. And I'd love it if you would subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification, and I'll see you guys next time. And as always, cook with what you have.